Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of this little book right here. These other little brouhahas where you can get all that and my cool-ass merchandise down in that description, so go down, check it out, fiddle about. And as always, I like to start off as being so thankful to everybody here, to everybody for just being awesome, part of the family. I swear I'm going to catch up with all the comments here this weekend. As you guys know, it's just been a rough couple of weeks for me, so I've kind of been withdrawing, being my little hermit phase. So, sorry if I'm not on top of the comments like I have been. I have about 100 to answer, so like I said, I'm just going to take the weekend, and Saturday, Sunday, just get Friday, just get everybody answered. Because you guys do mean that much to me here. I think it's important that I do answer you guys. And that, because you guys take a minute to talk to me. So, it's just really important to me because you guys are awesome. And I'm very lucky to have such an amazing family here. You guys are absolutely fucking awesome. Thank you so much. And today, we're just going to kind of do a little mishmash on different topics, a few things that maybe I forgot along the way or that's happening right now in the world. So we're just going to kind of go all over the place. And you know what? We're going to do a little local. We're going to stay right here today for our local level crossing. I haven't done these guys before. I don't think I've done our local brew. These guys make some really good brews. This one is a Jazz Loon. They're a Pilsner. Just super light, super crisp. But we're going to drink it in a minute. So everybody, grab your loonies. Your Mooney the Loonies. Kick up your feet and let's have a little cocktails and a rocktails. Ooh, look at that nice color. Oh, that's, a Pilsner, the Pilsner P color is what I always call it. But like I said, Level Crossing does an excellent flavor. Always, I've had these guys before. So, all right, everybody. Cheers, big ears. Not real over bitter, not real over powerful in the flavor. Super crisp, but a nice, strong Pilsner flavor. Just a really good, but not like cheap like Budweiser or something. But and not the Budweiser's bad. Everybody has their own flavor of what they like, and Budweiser's okay. That's fine. I grew up in Missouri. I got kicked out of a school because of Charles William Bush III. Thanks for that, Charles. Anywho, oh God, I reveal new things about myself every day. And today, like I said, we're just going to talk about a mismatched couple, reveal things that maybe we didn't know or I forget to talk about, or that, kind of go under the radar a little bit. So we're going to talk about a few things. And, first I want to, what's going on with that Diddy trial? Holy shit, did anybody expect Jennifer Lawrence? Really? Like, we knew Jennifer Lawrence was a bit of a wild child. She could, hold her own and party hard and stuff. And, of course, who would not want to go to this big celebrity party and stuff like that? But who would have thunk that she... And I'm glad she kind of held her own. It sounded like... I didn't hear the full testimony, but it sounded like she kind of got out of there unscathed, less scathed than most people did, like Cassidy. And God love her for her testimony. She's sitting up there pregnant. She's got Diddy's this man who we've all seen be a monster to her, and he's just looking at, and there's just, it's just getting crazy. Like, it is getting crazy. Like, he's just staring at people and witnesses and sending out intimidations and stuff. It's like, this is the level of ego that we're dealing with here, and this is what's really on trial. The ego that led him to believe that he could do what he wanted to people, whether it be the golden rain stuff, or just humiliation intimately, because that gives people power. So, but it's crazy, and I don't think we've heard the craziest yet. Jaguar Wright did show up. Like I said, I think Jennifer Lawrence shocked us all. So, still more to come. And I know I'm not, like, completely, absolutely 100%, like, detailed about it and stuff, but I think we're all just kind of watching going, oh my God, crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh, in the interview, I'm doing an interview today, like I said with you guys. I'll put the link down in the description here, but it's going to be at a later date rather than today. What is today? I'm going to be posting this on Thursday the 11th, I think. Is that the date? Anywho, so that's what's going on with the P. Diddy trial. Like I said, I think we're all shocked about Jennifer Lawrence. You know, that took a lot for her to get up, especially being a new mother. And Cassidy sitting up there just pregnant as hell. Jaguar right. She strutted in like nothing. Like she always does. She's like, I'm here. You guys thought you lost me? No. I'm right here. Hi. But she's always been kind of a force to be reckoned with. But my question with her is, if you're this force now, why weren't you then? You know? If you're going to be a force later, you should be a force in the time. I mean, I understand there's things that were probably very scary to her, you know, at the time. And I think, you know, abuse victims and people caught up in that world, we get very brainwashed. We get very desensitized, you know, all the things that abusers and stuff do. So, you know, maybe that was her case. Don't know, but I'm glad she's at least coming forward now. So, and speaking of other allegations, let's talk Jared Leto. Ladies, gentlemen, people of the world, everybody of all walks of life, groupies have known about this jackass forever. Ever. People are like, oh, I love his band. I fucking hate him. He's a sadomasochist, egotistical, another that kind of type who thinks he can degrade people because, oh, women are just sexually, you know, disgusting if you have the prowess of a man, you know, and because he's a rock star and a god. And don't get me wrong, like I was watching Dallas Buyers Club again the other day, and I loved him in that movie, you know, but I couldn't watch this movie without knowing what I've known all along, and I didn't even realize all the allegations of the underage and stuff, which some people do praise, some people don't. I was not a victim of that. I was underage, but not a victim. But he is one of those people that definitely 100% like as a groupie. Because I remember I was like, I want to go see his band, 30 Seconds to Mars, whatever it is. You know, I think he's hot. I was like, and no, a roadie friend of mine was like, oh, hell no, girl. This is what's happening. This guy is so like, he will charm you and act like he's cool with you. But then he's also looking down on you because he knows that as a woman, society, you know, thinks you're a piece of shit for doing exactly what he's doing. The same seductor stance, the same bedtime boogie, you know. So, but he also does things like P. Diddy, like just like Jerry Cantrell. I think that's it. Jared Leto is the new Jerry Cantrell with a P. Diddy edge. You know, because he does those things like everybody knows the Jerry Cantrell episode here. It's one of the most famous episodes. But he's always been that kind of degrading, that kind of dismissive, that kind of holier than thou. And, you know, you're a woman doing what I am, so you're just a piece of shit. Get over it. You know, and any of these allegations, knowing what I know and in the past as a groupie, and what other roadies and stuff had told me, because, you know, the rock and roll world is a very small world, and the grapevine really knows how to work itself out, and about 90% of it is true, 10% is not, as people are finding out here, because my life was overblown by the same network, you know, and because one of the things that was said when I was talking to people about my book before I began writing it and released it and stuff was, oh, now we're going to hear if the rumors are true. Well, as far as the rumors that Jared Leto goes, he's depraved, he's a piece of shit, he treats women like fucking absolutely nothing but his slaves. That's who he is. Can't stand him. Cannot stand him. Not to say that he's not talented, but that doesn't make you a good person. You know, a lot of people think groupies are like, oh, he's famous, so I love him, and he can do no wrong. No, sweetie, we're not in a cult. Groupies are drawn to their tribe. They're drawn to the world that makes sense to them. Period. But with every different social clique, every different world, you know, I mean, we all know about gymnastics and different football trainers and college football trainers over the years, or priests or whatever. Rock and roll is going to have its bad apples as well. Jared Leto is one of them. He's not only rock and roll, he's the acting world. Any allegations against him right now, I have absolutely no doubt. He is a sorry sack of fucking egotistical piece of shit. So, yeah, forget that. But let's get into a little more fun stuff. Like I said, this is kind of a mishmash episode because, you know, a few things kind of get blown over and people pay attention to some things or I forget about certain things. So this is kind of, and, you know, this is just a free-for-all episode. But, you know, one of the things I did forget about when I first left Vegas and came back to Salt Lake City, went back there, Danny and I, obviously Danny, Kristen and I were all still close. We were driving down the road and she had the country station on and all of a sudden Toby Keith comes on and I was like, God, I wish I slept with Toby Keith. She looks at me with this fucked up look. She's like, what do you mean you wish? You did. I was like, what? What do you mean I did? She's like, Steve Warner? I was like, yeah, I remember I slept with some guy, but I didn't think that was Toby Keith. And she's like, no. And this is how she describes it, and it's so probably totally true. So we were hanging out. This is the night, right? Sometimes we just did the rounds because back in the 80s we didn't have the internet. We didn't have access to tour itineraries like we did. They were very limited in Rolling Stones or Metal Edge or Rip magazine or whatever, classic rock, whatever. So we didn't have a whole shit ton of access to them. So we would just get bored and we would go downtown and do the rounds. Like I said, you guys saw how all the hotels, we didn't go down to the Holiday Inn because it's not there anymore. It's some weird Motel 6 or the Sheraton, but you get off the freeway, you hit the Holiday Inn, you hit the Sheraton, then you go up to where we saw, you know, the old Hilton where the Bon Jovi poker game, and that was really truly the Succession. Like I was going the whole loop, just walking that whole loop with my shitty back. But it was good. It was good. I love to walk and get the exercise. And I love showing you guys stuff. But anyway, so it was at the Motel 6, and when you'd pull off the freeway, you could see the buses. And like I've described them, or Motel 6, the Holiday Inn, it was the old school Holiday Inn with the putt-putt and the pool, and, you know, like all the games and the saunas and all the big windows around the fun center that opened up, that you could open up your hotel room and everybody just gather. So it was one of those old, and there were also rooms outside the hotel where you could just, you know, pull your car up and walk into your room, you know, the drive-up doors. So we get off the freeway, we see tour buses at this Holiday Inn. Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn is where we're going to go sin. But anyway, I should have been a rapper. No. I sleep with them. I don't need to be them. Anyway, so, yeah, so we pull off, we get off the freeway, we see the tour buses, we're like, looks like there's something for the picking in town at the moment. Perfect. We get out of the car, and this is how easy it is. People are like, oh, she's got such an attitude, like, just everyone's after her. No, it's just fucking easy as hell in the 80s, 90s, 2000s to go backstage, especially the 90s and 2000s when there weren't many groupies. So fucking easy. You just got out of your goddamn car sometimes. And this was one of those times, because being the good old country boys that they were on those little hotel rooms outside, the same ones that Megadeth and Dave Mustaine and, you know, the tour manager were in, and they had their chairs pulled out and everybody just sitting on, just passing a joint, having some beer. And we get out of the car and we hear, hello, ladies. And we were like, hello, boys. Who the fuck are you? And it was Steve Warner and Toby Keith. And Toby Keith was opening up for him at the time. I don't even remember what year. And I know the Judds were involved later on. Steve is one of the people that Danny sent cookies to. That we sent care packages to. Or she did, but yeah, so we get out of the car and we're just hanging out and we're all just drinking and you know, there's this guy there, this big tall blonde drink of water, and I'm not usually into blondes. I like dark haired men, but for some reason I always end up with a goddamn blonde, right? But so, and we're just sitting there and they're like, well, we should go in and smoke some more weed, and we gotta roll some more weed, and we go in and then we grab a beer out of the bathtub of the beers. Cheers. Because the ladies in the 80s, you know, there was always that extra room, the just-in-case room, that always had the bathtub full of the booze and whatever. But so we go in there and we grab a beer, we're sitting down, we're talking, we're just having a good time. Like, there's just instant chemistry. Like, Steve Warner was on Danny at the second he saw her. Like, that chemistry was just one of those things where the chemistry was just off the chain from that moment. So we're all just hanging out, and I'm just sort of talking to this guy, you know, this tall, drink of water from Oklahoma. Like, yeah, I lived in a small town in Missouri. Oh, Oklahoma, yeah, we used to go here in the Wild Bill show and all that stuff, or the museum, and so we were just talking, and they had good chemistry, and he was cute, had a really good smile, right? No clue to who he was. I thought he was like the roadie or like one of Steve Warner's guitar players. And Steve was like, and this is what Danny says happened. She's like, you were pretty uninterested in him until Steve was like, he's a really good, amazing singer. He's going places. He's going to be one of the most famous country singers in the future. He's going to be one of the biggest, most famous ones in the future. And Danny was like, I told me that I was like, oh really? And got really more interested in him. But I don't even remember that. I was like, is he now? He's a little country music star? Let's go, baby. I might be able to get on that ride, cowboy. Come on. You know, save that horse. As you know. So I got more interested, and I remember sleeping with him. I remember, like, it was fun, it was great, we laughed our asses off. Like, he was a fucking jungle gym for me to climb. I was seriously wrapping my legs around that man, hanging upside down from his neck, just because I told him I could climb him from his ankle to his shoulder, and hung upside down, and I did. I remembered that much, because I can get pretty adventurous. I will come up with the weirdest fucking spur of the moment dares, and that was one of them. So yeah, and it was great, but I just don't remember. I didn't remember that it was Toby Keith. I just thought it was Steve Warner's guitar player or backup singer or something. I didn't know. I didn't really care because he was just hot and he had that smile. But I think I was like, because I think I was like the first groupie he ever really actually had, because the next morning when we were all going down for that free little continental breakfast in the fun zone, and we were all just sort of hanging out with our hangovers and having Bloody Marys straight from the bus. We played Dogpile that night too. If you don't know what Dogpile is, I'll explain it one day. It's in the original Toby Keith video. But yeah, so we were sitting there, and Steve was like, congratulations. He's like, now you're all rock and roll, baby. You're all rock and roll now. He's like, you're one of us. He's like, you are full on the road. And it was just seeming like I was the very first groupie he had. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I kind of doubt that, because Toby Keith, hot drink of water. I'm telling you, somebody else climbed him like I did before I got there. So yeah, forgot I fucked with Toby Keith, but I did, apparently. I remembered the night, just didn't remember it was Toby Keith. Don't get mad at me. Not everybody, you know, men don't always remember every groupie they've slept with, the rock stars. So groupies, we don't have to remember. No. Man eaters. Okay, so let's move on to yeah, I forgot that I fucked Toby Keith, but he was fun. I remember that. I remember being exhausted, and every couple hours he'd wake up, hey baby, like coming up behind me, hey, okay, you know, while we're spooning, while we're sleeping. And morning breakfast, we worked up an appetite for breakfast, that's for sure. Okay. And another thing that a lot of people don't really pay attention to in the Metallica alphabet, that whole 3-part series of of everything. Well, no, that wasn't the 3-part series, but that was before that. But the alphabets where we put the bow in James Hetfield's hair, a lot of people skip over this one thing that I think is so fucking funny. And I actually forgot to put it on. I need to redo my merchandise of the Lars t-shirt, because I wanted to put this on the back of it. And it is Lars Ulrich's sexual theory. Ladies who have been with Lars, down in the comments. When Danny heard this, it made a whole lot of sense to her. So Lars has this, used to have this sexual theory, right? It takes a man 15 minutes to climb Mount Everest and reach the mountain peak if he does not know the person and he has not climbed a mountain before that day. It takes a man a half an hour if he does know the person that he's climbing Mount Everest with, but he has not climbed the mountain before that day. So then it takes him 45 minutes to reach the peak if he does not know the person but has climbed a mountain before that day. It takes a man an hour to reach the Mount Everest mountain peak if he does know that, wait, so the 45 minute is he does not know the person, but he has climbed a mountain before that day. The hour, it takes him an hour to reach the mountain peak at Mount Everest. If he does know the person he's climbing the mountain with and has climbed a mountain before that day. So ladies who've been with Lars, you tell me, were you a 15, 30, 45, or an hour girl? And now you know why. You know, and everybody's like, well, you've been with Lars. Technically, no. Because Lars had a little schmocane issue south of the border at the base of the mountain. So he never was actually, because he had the cokey, you know, it was more like a rubber band. So no, he just sort of did an oral stuff. He gave me an oral exam, and that was about it. And what I did to him with the bottle, didn't put it in anything. Don't be wrong. It was just felt cold and nice on certain places of his body. So I just sort of stroked it with it. But yeah, there we go. So that was Lars Ulrich's sexual theories. So I don't know. You know, so I was just more of the oral examination for Lars. But yeah, so ladies who have been with Lars, were you someone he did not know and it took him 15 minutes because he was so excited, or did you know him and he was just more comfortable so it took a half an hour? Or was it 45 minutes and you were sloppy seconds? Or an hour and still sloppy seconds? Because we all been there, we all been sloppy seconds, trust me. They've been our sloppy seconds, as we know from the Tesla and Rick Savage and Bret Michaels and David Lee Roth. Yeah, ladies, we know. All right. So there we go. That's Lars Ulrich's sexual theory. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, and an hour. And then this is one that I always forget about. This was after John passed away. And I had left Vegas and was quitting dancing but I had some contracts that I had to fill to do some feature shows. Deja Vu was opening up the Showgirls in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I had already signed on to go do feature shows there. So then they put me in this little hotel casino thing in Bossier City, part of Shreveport. And if you're ever in Shreveport with the band ladies, seriously, you've never been there, they have drive-through margarita shacks. Like, you can drive through and get margaritas and daiquiris and shit, and you just get them handed to you like it's a fucking coffee shack. And it's like, hell yeah. And they used to just have this little piece of tape over where you put the straw in. Tell me you encourage drunk driving without telling me you encourage drunk driving. But yeah, so anyway, so I was down there for 2 weeks doing the feature show, and Jackson Dell, my GM from Vegas, was, you know, down there opening the club, and he was GM of there at the time as well. So just hanging out, having a good time, just staying at the hotel. And, you know, I'd walk across the lobby, and one night I just had on a miniskirt and these thigh-high little suede heeled boots that I loved that got stolen from me. And this little t-shirt that said, "For your viewing pleasure." And walking with my bag, and I go across the hotel lobby like I had been for the past week, because it was about a week into my stay. And I look up at the front desk, and I see this band, and I'm like, who the fuck? And you can tell a band with their road crew, plus the tour buses pulled out right by the front door. And you can tell them when you see them, you know. So I see all these guys checking in, and I'm like, what the fuck band is this? And it turns around, and I see it's the fucking Bullet Boys. I mean, this is 2002 or 2003, okay? This is 2003. So, yeah, it's not like 1989 or whatever when I first met him, when they were playing with... Who were they playing with when we were hanging out with them? That's a story for another time. But, yeah, so this is like 2003 when they were playing at some sad little club down in Shreveport, Louisiana, right? So, and plus Bochet, who had lived here and been a previous groupie, she dated Mark, and I think, I'm not 100% sure if I'm right, and they lived together, and she was like, man, that man is like worse than Gene Simmons. He's hung like a fucking acorn, right? So, that was my first thought when he turned around. He was like, hey, and I was like, hi. And I'm just trying to get across because I can see the guy who's driving the club limo that's here to pick me up to take me to the, to the club so I can do my shows for the night. And I can see him, and I'm trying to, Mark is standing between me and the door, and he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Sienna. I just gave him my stage name because I wasn't about to give him my real name. And he's like, oh, aren't you beautiful? What are you doing down here? He's like, are you checking out? Because I had my dance bag in my hand. And I was like, no. I said, I'm down here doing feature shows at the Deja Vu that's grand opening. And, oh, really? So that goes on, and he's like, oh, well, maybe we should hook up later. I said, well, if you want to stop by. The only time I've ever invited a band because I know I'm not sleeping with this guy. I know there's no chemistry here. He's so, washed up, never was, has been, L.A., and plus, like I said, it's ringing in my head what Boucher said about him and an acorn. That they could be, the acorn might beat him. But, so it just, yeah. And then I come home later from that gig, and I see him, because they're all kind of hanging out in this little bar casino area that's down this little hallway. And I see him, I'm like, oh, I've got to go shower, I think I'm just going to go to bed, blah, 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 blah. So he kind of follows me to my hotel door. I was like, and there was a DJ and stuff that was down there and that were in the same hotel room. So, and I would go by the DJ's door in the morning, wake his ass up. But anyway, so Mark kind of walks me to my door acting like, oh, I've got to get you there safe, I'm a gentleman. And he's like, well, hoping that I would he's like, well, I'm the lead singer of Bullet Boys. I'm like, yeah, I think I even said, I think you know my friend Boucher, and a girl that I used to know. And he was like, how do you know her? I'm like, we're both from Salt Lake, dude. And I think that was a conversation that was going on. So anyway, I don't let him in the room. I'm like, I need to go shower. I've just been a long day, been really busy tonight, so I'll see you later. Well, we're leaving in the morning or something, or they had another gig or something. I don't even know. I wasn't paying attention to him. So then, it's already 2 o'clock in the morning, so I go in, I shower, I'm relaxing, I have the TV on, I'm just smoking a little joint in my room, minding my own business, having a good night, just, like I said, watching TV, winding down, hanging out, ordering. I think I had a pizza on the way, or that I just ordered a pizza and got it or something, and I was just eating, and all of a sudden, and I had the light out, but the little night light on the next to the bed was on. So all of a sudden I hear this, this little tap, tap, tap. You could tell he's just using his finger. And I'm like, who the fuck is knocking on my door? And I hear, Allison. And I was like, or Sienna, whatever I told him my name was. I hear Sienna. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to the peephole, and I know you can probably see me. But I go to the peephole, and I look through, and it's fucking Mark knocking on my door at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, no. If I didn't let you in this fucking door when you walked me to it, you're not coming in the door now. What makes your fucking ass thinks you are bringing your acorn over here to try and put it in my fucking little Radio City music hall? I don't think so. I'm more of I'm more of the Grand Garden. Had some of the biggest bands of music play there. Well, in the Radio City Music Hall, too. And probably a couple night shows. Okay. That's a good comparison. So anyway, yeah, that was... And he kept knocking for 15 minutes. I'm like, dude, no. Finally, it's I called the front desk. I'm like, could you please get this guy away from my door? And they were like, oh, yeah. And then I heard him come talking. And he was like, oh, sorry. He's like, I thought you told me to come meet her here and... blah, blah, blah. She's just an old friend I wanted to talk to. And I could just hear him chattering out, and I was watching, and the front desk lady, she's like, well, maybe you should probably go to your room now if she's not answering, so yeah, because the front desk lady got it. She's like, he kept coming out here to see, hey, has that girl come in with the black hair? Because he kept coming in from the little casino after they played their gig for the night, asking if I had come back from the club yet. And he was like, no. And the front desk lady's like, no. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you that anyway. I'm not going to give you her room number. So, yeah, that was my experience with Mark Torian from Bullet Boys. Never did answer that fucking door. No. Never hesitate to call the people at the front desk, especially the women, because let me tell you what, they'll have your back more than the guys will. But there you guys go. There's a few little mishmash things. Tell me what you guys think are the P. Diddy trial or Jared Leto. And ladies who've been with Lars, let me know. Anybody else that met Mark Torian? Bonita? Maybe. Maybe you got a story about that too. Or did you know my friend Boucher? You might have. Because she went out to LA pretty early on, around 89, 88-ish, around there. So, and like you said, the Sunset Strip world is just as small as the rock world, as we know. And, you know, forgetting that I slept with Toby Keith. I mean, I knew the guy I slept with, this hot, tall drink of water that I was hanging on to for dear fucking life. But I just didn't realize it was Toby Keith. I just thought it was a guitar player. Like I cared. I was just wanting to get laid. And on that note, thank you guys so much for getting to the end with me. Thank you for getting to the mountaintop and enjoying the episode, and really all your feedback, all your comments, all your kindness. To all the new people finding me from Soft White Underbelly, welcome, 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 or other ways. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the family, you guys. Everybody's been so amazingly cool, so badass, and I just cannot tell you how much I really, really appreciate you. And like I said, keep checking that link for the interview that I'm doing today, because it will be posted at a later date. Okay, so, and thank you, Jay, so much for inviting me on today. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. Hope you're enjoying my book. Hope you guys are always enjoying it. For everybody, as always, that's lurking around, hit that subscribe, become part of the family. Hit the share. Let's keep growing. We have hit 3,000, and thank you guys for getting me there. Absolutely 100% love you guys. And hit my bells. And we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Woo! Cheers, big ears.